What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, and welcome back to Victory Monday. Yes, the Detroit Lions yesterday, in their first game in the post-Matt Patricia era, got their first victory, and not only was it their first victory post-Matt Patricia, it was their first divisional victory since Matt Patricia's first season as the head coach. We as Lions fans have been waiting for this feeling for quite a long time, over 2 seasons, and it has finally come. We finally have a divisional victory versus the Chicago Bears, and we are finally able to enjoy another Victory Monday, and finally able to enjoy one in which we beat a divisional rival. Now, as we do every Monday after a Detroit Lions game, I will be going over the recap and the reactions, going over the good, the bad, and everything you need to know from this week's matchup. So without any further ado, let's get right into the video and recap this Week 13 victory by the Detroit Lions. Now, as I said, the Detroit Lions ended up taking their first victory in the Bevell era, and Bevell in just 7 days was able to do something Matt Patricia was not able to do in 3 entire seasons, and that was defeat a division rival that was not the Green Bay Packers. Yes, Matt Patricia was 0-5 versus the he was 0-5 versus the Bears, and he was 0-5 versus the Minnesota Vikings. Bevell, in his first ever game as a head coach, was able to defeat the Chicago Bears. So that is very impressive by Bevell. Great start, perfect start to his NFL tenure and to his head coaching tenure. So congrats to Bevell for being 1-0, and congrats to the Detroit Lions for having an undefeated coach. I'm not going to say he's going to be the future head coach. I'm not going to overreact. But Bevell is undefeated versus a very solid and very good Bears defense, at least. I'm not going to say anything about the offense, but Bevell is undefeated versus the Chicago Bears. He's undefeated as a head coach, and he did it versus a very, very stout Bears defense. Now, starting on the offensive side of the football, Matt Stafford was the leader. He was the best player on the field yesterday. He was 27 for 42, 402 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That 1 interception came on a screen pass where it was just read very well. Not a whole lot Matt Stafford could do about it. If you call the screen pass, if your coach calls a screen pass, you throw the screen pass. Like, there's not a whole lot of anything Matt Stafford could have done. I mean, could he have thrown it a little higher? Could he have maybe lofted it over and maybe gotten a pass in? Potentially, but I'm not going to put that pick on Matt Stafford. It was a screen pass. The D-line read the screen pass, made a phenomenal play, got the interception. In the end, the Lions were still able to battle through adversity, and they were still able to pick up the victory. They made plays when it counted, and Matt Stafford, as I said, was very, very good yesterday. He was sharp, he was decisive, he was efficient, he was throwing deep bombs, he was pretty good on his deep balls. I mean, he was not perfect, of course, he missed a couple here and there, but had a really good deep bomb to Cephas, had a really good long pass to Marvin Jones, had a really, really nice pass down the field to Jesse James for the touchdown. Like, Matt Stafford was efficient, he was good, he was aggressive, he got his shots downfield, he connected with his shots downfield, and Matt Stafford looked like Matt Stafford from 2019. He was on, he was having a good day, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, phenomenal performance from Matt Stafford, looking like the top 10 quarterback we all know he is. Now, looking at the rushing attack, Adrian Peterson led the team with 16 carries yesterday. On those 16 carries, he had 57 yards, but he did have 2 touchdowns as well. So, very efficient day from Adrian Peterson, being the best running back on the team right now, with DeAndre Swift missing some time. So, you'd like to see AP get a little bit more efficient. Like to see him get a little bit more efficient with his touches, but still a good day from Adrian Peterson. Kerryon Johnson did not contribute much. 3 carries for 3 yards. Not a lot. I'd like to see Kerryon get more involved, but he was very good in the pass protection yesterday, as he always is. The receiving game yesterday was really good from a lot of people. Marvin Jones led the team with 8 receptions for 116 and a touchdown. Quintez Cephas had 2 receptions for 63 and a touchdown. Jesse James had only 1 reception, but it was a touchdown. And TJ Hockenson once again had a really, really good day through the air with 7 receptions for 84 receiving yards. Very solid day for the Lions all around. The running game was efficient when it needed to be. Matt Stafford was hot. Matt Stafford was on. His receivers were catching footballs. Cephas got his first NFL touchdown. Marvin Jones had his big day. TJ Hockenson had his great day, had his big day once again. Very, very efficient day and very good day from the Lions offense versus a top 5 defense in the Chicago Bears. I know they've been kind of down recently, but the Chicago Bears have a very good defense. They have a very strong defense, and even without guys like, Halapoloti, Vaitai, even without Tyrell Crosby at that right tackle position, they were still able to keep Stafford up for a majority of the game, and Stafford was still able to carve up this Bears defense without Kenny Galladay, without DeAndre Swift, and without his right tackle. So a very good day from the offense, very good to see from that standpoint. Looking at the Detroit Lions defense, they gave up 267 pass yards through the air and 1 touchdown to Mitch Trubisky. Pretty good considering what the Lions gave up to Mitch Trubisky last time. Not going to talk about it. Game's over. But, much better performance by the Lions pass defense this time around, as opposed to week 1. The Detroit Lions on the ground, though, did not have a fantastic day. They allowed 140 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Not a great day, but they did make a couple plays when it mattered, especially on that 4th down stop at the end of the game to seal the fate and seal the victory for the Detroit Lions. Now, I'm not going to say the defense was great. I'm not going to tell you the defense was phenomenal or anything. I'm not going to tell you they were great. Obviously, they give up 30 points to the Chicago Bears, who are not a great offense, but at the end of the day, they made their plays. They got that strip sack. Romeo Okwara was able to strip Mitch Trubisky and get the Lions the ball back to get that game-winning score. And of course, on that 4th down conversion, when they needed a stop, when they needed a big play from somebody, Kevin Strong and I believe Reggie Ragland teamed up to make the play on David Montgomery. Obviously, everybody helped, but those two made the tackle short of the yard to gain, short of the line to gain, and sealed the fate of the Chicago Bears and sealed the victory for the Detroit Lions. That is fantastic to hear. I just smile every time I say it. The Lions won a football game and they beat a division rival. I have not been able to say that in over 2 seasons, and I am just so happy to say it. I'm smiling. I'm having a good day. And I know the Lions dropped in draft order a little bit, but I'll get into that in a little bit. But first off, let's get into the major takeaways. Now, my first major takeaway is that Matt Patricia was indeed the problem in Detroit. I do believe he was holding back the defense as well as the offense. The offense, obviously a couple weeks ago could not put up a point versus the Carolina Panthers defense and the 20th ranked defense in the NFL. This week, the Lions come in with fun. They come in with flash. They come in with a quickness and a different, ideology, a different way of running the offense. And they put up 34 versus a top 5 defense in the NFL. So I think Patricia was hindering the Lions a little bit. I think Patricia just kind of sucked all the life out of the room when he got there. And every time he walked into the building, every single day, the life and the energy was just sucked out of the building. And I think with Patricia being gone, with new energy being injected into the building, they mentioned several times that it felt like a window was open and some fresh air was let into the building and just some energy and excitement was put back into this organization where it had not been before. So I do think Matt Patricia was the problem. Obviously, we're 1-0 without him. We're undefeated without him in the post-Patricia era. Better offensive performance, better defensive performance. Defense made adjustments late in the football game, which helped us win the game. I'll get into that in a couple of minutes, but still, very good game. Very good game by the Detroit Lions. And I think, truly, I think it's fair to say at this point that even if you were a supporter of Matt Patricia was the problem. He did not need more time. He did not need more guys. He was the problem, and getting him out of the organization might have been the best move the Lions made in 2020. Now, my second takeaway from the game is that Darrell Bevell's system and his ideology works. Having fun with the players, getting them warmed up, getting them excited, having fun, playing music at practice, just giving them that fresh air, giving them that energy works better for the Lions organization. It just works better. And I'm not saying, Bevell can't be a tough coach. I'm not saying the next coach has to be a pushover that the players have to like and they have to love and they have to be best friends and they don't get any work done. You can still have a tough practice. You can still have a hard practice while having fun. And I think that's exactly where Bevell came from. I think that's exactly the position that he wanted to take. That's exactly where he wanted to put his players. They were going to have a fun practice. They were going to have fun the rest of the season. They were going to try some things, have some fun, go out and be flashy and fast and play hard, play fast, play with their hair on fire, all that. And, Bevell's system works much better in just one game than Matt Patricia's system did in 3 full seasons. I felt like the players played harder. I never felt like the players gave up. I never felt like the energy dropped a significant amount throughout the football game. They played hard even when it was down. Even when the Lions were down down, even when it didn't look necessarily great for the Lions team yesterday. You know, they were down, I believe, 10 points with like 6 minutes left. It didn't look very good for the Lions, but they always fought, they always battled, they scratched their way back, and ended up getting a really, really big victory for this Lions organization. And you might say, okay, well, we beat the Bears, that's great, but what does that tell you about Darrell Bevell? Well, Darrell Bevell not only beat the Bears, which is something Matt Patricia could never do, but he did so without Trey Flowers, his best pass rusher. He did so without Kenny Galladay, his best offensive weapon. He did so without DeAndre Swift, arguably his best offensive weapon with Kenny Galladay, so A1 and A2. He did so without Tyrell Crosby and Big V at the tackle and guard positions, and a couple other players were not necessarily the healthiest and not necessarily playing a lot during the football game. He fought through adversity. He had injured players, and you know what? He didn't care. He still put up 34 versus the Bears. He still put up a lot of points and still was able to get this Detroit Lions a victory. Now moving over to the defensive head coach, I guess at this point, the defensive coordinator, the guy calling the shots in Corey Undlin. Corey Undlin wasn't great in this game. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you the defense was great. I'm not going to tell you that this team is great yet because obviously the defense did not play well. But what I will tell you is that Corey Undlin is much better than Patricia. We are much improved on the defensive side because Patricia is gone. And you might say, oh, well, we still gave up almost 300 yards to Trubisky. We still gave up 140 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. And that is true. Those things did happen. That did happen against the Detroit Lions. That is true. But if you look at the Detroit Lions, the first half versus the second half, Corey Undlin made adjustments, people. Corey Undlin did not sit in his pregame plan and just wait and watch his defense get destroyed. Corey Undlin went in at halftime watching his defense get beat, and he dialed up blitzes, he dialed up pressure, he got pressure on Mitch Trubisky, he forced some errant passes, he played more man, he adjusted his defense, and in the end, it worked a lot better in the second half. The Lions only gave up 7 points in the entire second half of the football game, opposed to the 23 they gave up in the first half. Corey Undlin was not great in this football game. I'm not going to say his play calling was great. I'm not going to say this defense was great. But you know what was great and was great to see? Adjustments were made. Something wasn't working on the defensive side of the ball, and Corey Undlin made adjustments. It's not that hard, Matt Patricia. You make adjustments when your defense isn't working, and we saw the adjustments work. We saw Trubisky get a little bit more uncomfortable. The Lions obviously went from giving up 23 points in the first half to 7 in the entire second half. This defense got a lot better throughout the game, and hopefully we can continue to make adjustments. Hopefully we can continue to grow and move forward, and hopefully this defense can continue to develop under Corey Undlin, and hopefully this was not a one-off game. Hopefully this was not an outlier to Corey Undlin making adjustments. Hopefully in this game at least he showed that he can make adjustments. He showed that he's smart enough to make adjustments. He realized his defense, his philosophy, his game plan wasn't working, so he went into the locker room and he changed it to something that was going to work. And obviously, as I mentioned, they only give up 7 points in the second half, and the defense generally had a really good second half. I mean, they still give up yards, but at the end of the day, if you don't give up points, you don't give up points. And if you don't give up points, you're winning football games. And that's exactly what the Lions defense did in the second half. So I can go on and on about how poor the defense was in the first half, but you got to give credit where credit is due, and Corey Undlin made phenomenal adjustments, and obviously this defense played a lot better in the second half and was a big reason why this Detroit Lions team won the football game. And they obviously made their key plays in the game to put the Lions in a position to take the lead and a position to win the game. Now, my fourth takeaway from this game, and this is where I know people are going to disagree with me. This is where I know people are not going to agree, and they're going to tell me I'm wrong and I'm stupid and whatever. And I understand that this is not going to be a popular opinion, but winning was not a bad thing for the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are going to drop in draft position. I believe they went from 9 to 12. They dropped 3 spots in the draft order, and that could be the difference between Micah Parsons and somebody else. That could be the difference between Gregory Rousseau and somebody else. And I understand that. And come August, if we miss out on Micah Parsons by 1 spot, am I going to be upset? Of course I'm going to be upset. Micah Parsons is great. Micah Parsons is the best linebacker in the draft, arguably the best defensive player in the draft. If we miss out on Gregory Rousseau, by far the best pass rusher in the draft, am I going to be upset? Of course I'm going to be upset. I want the best players to be here. But winning the football game was not a bad move by the Detroit Lions, and it is not a mistake by the Detroit Lions to win and continue to try to keep winning. Now, obviously, you're going to say, yeah, well, we missed out on draft pick. We're dropping in draft selection, yada, yada, yada. I get that, and I understand where you're coming from. And if you don't think winning was the right thing to do, I fully understand. I fully understand your argument, and I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, right? I mean, if you think our draft selection right now is more important than other things, I understand that. But winning the football game does a couple of things for this Detroit Lions team. One, it shows NFL coaches, it shows potential coaching candidates that this team can win despite injury. It shows that this team can put up points versus anybody. It shows that this team can make a stand and they can play good football and win a football game even with a significant amount of injuries, even with a significant amount of depth missing. They can still make plays and still win football games. That is the biggest thing. That will be a huge enticement. That will be a huge enticement to future head coaches and coaching candidates like Robert Saleh, like Eric Bieniemy, like PJ Fleck, like, who else, Jim Harbaugh, any other coaching candidates that we might be looking at. This shows them, if they go back and, they're being interviewed by the Lions and they're trying to convince Robert Saleh to be here, and he says, well, why should I come here? Obviously, you guys aren't winning. They can turn on this game and say, look, we were missing Trey Flowers, Kenny Galladay, DeAndre Swift, we were missing Desmond Trufant and Danny Shelton and Jeff Okudah and all these different players, and we were still able to fight and grind out a victory versus a top 5 defense in the NFL. And Robert Saleh's gonna be like, well, dang, all right, well, I guess that makes sense to me. Let's do this. Let's go get these players back. Let's go get on this road to the playoffs. This win is going to help entice coaches to come here because the Lions not only showed the depth they have, they not only showed the talent they have, they not only showed the adversity that they are willing to fight through for a head coach that is willing to listen and put them in good position to succeed. They are not only showing that they have the energy and they have the capability to win and score versus good defenses and make plays when it matters, but this team has to build a culture. This team has to build something special in Detroit if they want to be consistent winners. And doing this with an interim head coach, your head coach was just fired. You're coming off a couple really, really disappointing and embarrassing losses. You're going up against a top 5 defense just 2 weeks after you were shut out by the number 20th defense in the NFL. This team came out and took their shots. They came out and fired back. They swung back. They did not just sit down in the corner and give up on the season. They are going to keep fighting. They're going to continue to keep winning, and that attitude, that grit is going to help build a culture in Detroit. It's going to help build a Detroit culture, not a New England culture, not a, whatever else culture that somebody else might try to bring in. We are building a Detroit culture here. We are building a culture built on hard work and effort and never giving up and being excited and having enthusiasm and energy on the sidelines. That is the culture the Lions are trying to build. That is the culture that Darrell Bevell started to build yesterday versus the Chicago Bears, and that is something the Lions can continue to build on. So why is winning a good thing? Well, yes, a couple draft picks higher might get you a better player, but in the long term, a culture and a coach will get you much farther in your future, will get you much farther in the NFL than one single draft pick. Robert Saleh, if he comes here and that one game, if this one game is reason enough for him to come here, Sheila Ford can say, look, we were without all of these players and we still were able to fight and win. We were still able to come out with a victory, and that is enough to convince Robert Saleh or PJ Fleck to come to the building and come to this organization to help. Robert Saleh is going to help this team so much more than Micah Parsons. PJ Fleck is going to help this team so much more than Gregory Rousseau. Eric Bieniemy is going to help this team, and this culture is going to help this team so much more than 3 draft selections higher in the draft. Winning was not a bad thing for the Detroit Lions, and I know people are going to be upset, and I know people are going to say we should tank the season, and I know people are going to disagree with me on this, but trust me, building a culture and showing your fight and showing your grit to a future head coaching candidate is going to be better for the Detroit Lions in the long term than 3 draft picks higher than they would be. Now, my final takeaway from the day, and my biggest takeaway from the day, is that this team has new energy. This team has new life with 4 weeks left in the NFL season, and sitting at 5-7 is, obviously not where the Lions want to be. It's not where they wanted to be after a 3-3 start, but still a 5-7 record with new energy, with new life, coming off a really great offensive performance and a defensive performance where, yeah, they started poor, but they finished incredibly strong. I'm not going to tell you this team can go on a run. I'm not going to tell you we can finish 9-7. I'm not going to tell you we can squeak into the playoffs and make a little bit of noise in the NFC. I'm not there yet. I'm not convinced yet that we can do that because I still see a significant amount of problems on this team. But what I will tell you is the energy is different in this building. the Lions are a different team without Matt Patricia. The Lions are a better team without Matt Patricia. And with all of that, with the new energy, with the players buying in week one, with them playing harder, playing for each other, playing for an organization, playing for one singular goal, I think the Lions are a better football team, and I would not be surprised if the Lions get to 7-9. I would not be surprised even if they get to 8-8 on this season, because the energy in this building is different. The coaching style is different. The players are buying in faster to Darrell Bevell than they did to Matt Patricia. Darrell Bevell has proven he can win and put up points versus a really good Chicago Bears defense, and overall, the new energy in this building has me excited for the future. The new energy and the culture that Darrell Bevell started to build yesterday has me excited for the future, and I cannot wait. And for the first time in several weeks, I am excited to see the Lions play again. I'm not just going to show up and be like, oh, well, I hope we win, but I don't think we will. Every game from now on shows me that the Lions can now put up points against anybody. They can now make adjustments that can save the football game for them. And right now, this team has excitement. This organization has excitement. It has energy within it for the first time probably since middle of last season. Probably for the first time since Matt Stafford got hurt, does this team have a real energy? Does this team have a real aura around them that they can be successful, that they can win football games? And that aura and that, energy in the building is going to help the Lions go very far and accomplish things in the very near future. With all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Those are my recaps and my reactions to the Week 13 game. Let me know how you guys think this game went. Let me know how you guys reacted and how you guys think and what you guys think about this game down in the comments below. I'd be very curious to see where a lot of Lions fans sit as far as winning another football game and winning our first divisional game in a very long time. But with all of that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. If you are new to the channel and are enjoying the video, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video. It helps the channel out more than you could know, and I'd be greatly appreciative for it. But with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all tomorrow with more Lions content. Thank y'all for watching. Bye, guys.